Why won't mommy get out of bed? It's morning now, the sun is up. She should be up too, making breakfast or at least getting ready. But instead, she stays in her room, the door shut, the lights turned off. It makes me curious. I go to her door, open it a little. It's dark, but I can see her, wrapped up in covers like a cocoon. "Mommy," I whisper. She doesn't answer. "Mommy?" She doesn't even move. I know mommy loves me very, very much. That's what makes me curious. If she loves me, why does she stay in bed all morning, not answering when I call? But then I think, maybe she's sick. Maybe she's hurt. Now I'm worried. I open the door a little bit further. Quietly, I sneak inside. The air in mommy's room smells funny. It's hard to see where I'm going. I move real slow and quiet and careful. Soon, I'm at her bed. I say, "Hey, mommy." I wait. Nothing. Up close, I can see she's lying on her side, away from me. Her covers only go to her shoulders. I see her back freckles, her curly red hair. I poke her. "Hello? Are you sleeping?" I was going to say some other stuff too, but then I heard it. It sounds kinda like a puppy, or maybe a baby rabbit when you give it an apple slice. It's a happy sound of animals, but it's sad when mommy makes it. It means she's crying. "Mommy?" I say. "Are you sad? Are you sick?" Still, she doesn't answer. Now, I'm mad. I'm mad because this time I know mommy's awake. She's ignoring me. Even if you're crying, you shouldn't ignore someone. That's rude. All at once, I jump up on the bed. It's not a nice thing to do, but I really, really am mad. I grab mommy's arm and pull her toward me. Then, I get up real close and say, "Listen carefully, you ungrateful little shit. I've been very patient with you." I make my scariest frown as I hold her face to mine. She feels so small. My hands fit easily around her neck. "It would have been easy for me to kill all your children. When I took you, I could have slashed their throats as well, but I held back as a gesture of goodwill, so that you'd accept your new home, so that you learn your role. You must always remember, you have a role to play here, and you'd better put some heart into it, because there's nothing stopping me from strolling back to that pretty white house and finishing the job." It's quiet for a while after that, like we're both in a timeout. But suddenly, I'm not mad anymore. I look at mommy. Her eyes are red, but she's not crying. I think we're okay. I say, "Mommy, will you brush my hair?" "Okay, sweetie," she says. After that, pancakes? Okay. I think I uncovered a conspiracy that goes deeper than any other. I'm not one of those weirdos who run around saying that 5G causes autism or whatever. This shit is real. So remember when y'all were kids and you'd get a letter sent home whenever someone would have lice or nits? You'd have to spend the rest of the afternoon in the bath, scrubbing away. I've been in the arthropod business for a little over 5 years now. And last night, they gave me the brief about nits. Nits and lice aren't just little fleas that make your hair itchy. Oh no, you know what they are. They're parasites, evil little creatures that burrow far, far into your scalp. Once they burrow into your head, they keep digging until they reach your brain. After the lice are in your brain, they eat You'd be surprised at how much one single louse can eat. It's not noticeable for at least a week or so, but every now and then your head will twitch. It picks up pace after a week. When your head starts to really get itchy, the itch is absolutely insane. It feels like someone is lightly rubbing a comb through your hair. The nits know better than to eat all of your brain and inner head. They just know to eat the stuff you can function without. Basic numeracy and literary skills, emotive capacity, memories, anything that doesn't stop you from walking and moving will disappear. Once that's all gone, you're effectively a husk of a person, a shell, blank eyes staring, mouth open, scratching the top of your head for the rest of your life, trying to satisfy that itch that is 5 millimeters out of your reach. Y'all think I'm joking? They showed me a security video of it happening to a student in class. She walked in and sat down next to her friend. God, she looked like a bright kid, not even 14. After 10 minutes into the class, she scratched her head. 2 minutes after that, again. Not even 30 seconds had passed before she had kneeled over and began scratching furiously. She began screaming, scraping and peeling at her head, trying to get the lice out. It wasn't too long before she stopped shrieking. The top half of her head had been reduced to a bloody, hairy mess. Her 3 middle fingers had lost their nails on each hand. That didn't stop her slowly moving her hands back and forth atop her head, while her classmates all ran out of the room in search for help. The security tape ended after that, and honestly, I struggled to imagine what she'd be doing now, sitting in the paddle room, dragging her fingers back and forth, back and forth. If any of you ever hear of any lice outbreak, remove yourself as fast as possible. You know the consequences. Do not risk it under any circumstances. Stay safe and try not to scratch. Let's start at the beginning, Miss Jameson. How would you describe the relationship between Liam and his father? Stepfather. Frank was his stepfather. Oh, I understand. How would you say they got along before all of this? He was afraid of him, I know that much. Any particular incident that comes to mind? He's good, you know, deep down in his heart. I know it. But it wasn't easy. He could get very angry. In what way? He'd let us know when he wasn't happy with us, slam a fist in the table, threaten us. He was better to me, but I felt it too. The tension, always having to step on eggshells around him, the looks of contempt. You can't live with that. Not for very long, anyways. Any violence? He was never violent towards me. Not really. He'd pull my hair sometimes, maybe grab me by the throat, but it never went beyond that. So there was violence. He would never admit it, you know. He was proud like that. Strong, kind. He wanted to protect me. But I saw the bruises, never a day without new bruises. How long has this been happening? It started already when Frank moved in. He took over the household immediately, and it has been going downhill ever since. I'm sorry that I have to ask these questions, but why didn't you report it? I wanted to, I really did, but at the same time, I couldn't. Not only do I love him, but I also feared how he'd react when he found out. Feared he would kill us. How long has Frank been living with you? About a year now, give or take. That's a long time to live in fear. It really is. Let's move on to the night of. I understand you called it in a little after midnight. Yes, it was a bad day, but it only got worse. when I heard Frank yelling from upstairs and furniture smashing against the walls. I knew I had to do something. So you decided to step in? What? No. What are you talking about? I just called the police. I'm sorry, Miss Jameson. I'm not sure I'm following. Did you or did you not stab Frank with a kitchen knife? No. Why on earth would I do that? To protect your son? To stop Frank from harming him? Are you serious? Haven't you heard a word I've said? Frank is the kindest man I've ever known. He wouldn't hurt a fly. I'm sorry, I don't think I understand. It's Liam I'm scared of. You don't know what that boy is capable of, detective. For the love of God, don't let him out of your sight. You're telling me Liam killed Frank. Liam's not normal, detective. How do you think I lost my first husband? As I stared at the wrapped, black-painted, metal door to my crawlspace, I breathed deeply to steel my nerves. It'll be fine. Anything you find under there will be more afraid than you are of it. And it's just a kitten. Kittens are cute. That was my attempt at soothing myself. It didn't work. We moved into this house just over 2 years ago, unable to believe the deal we got for the amount of land and living space, and I had never gotten the courage to crawl underneath. I didn't have a reason to. Everything worked, so there was nothing that would necessitate going into its dark underbelly. Recently, our air conditioning had some issues. It's way too hot in Georgia for that. Since our house is more than a few decades old, the ductwork for the system is in our crawlspace. The entire AC unit is connected to a hole punched out of the bricks beneath our living room. The end result is that there is a significant gap between the bricks and the ductwork inside our unit. Per our AC technician, there's some pretty large faces down there, much bigger than a rodent. It's probably a raccoon or something, pretty common. The problem is that the unit is a bit older, so it sits on a pedestal which has a nice size gap for these sort of things to get in. I tried to call pest control, but they couldn't make it out for 2 more days. Now, my 11-year-old son tells me he has been hearing sounds coming from his air vent for quite a while. He said he didn't think much about it and thought it was just house noises. After I informed the family of what the technician said, my son said he would listen more closely. Tonight, he swore he heard a kitten meowing. Unfortunately, I have a soft spot for kittens that overtake my fear of dark, cramped spaces under my house. I unlock and remove the door, then shine my flashlight into the pitch black space. Mazes of pipes and insulated ductwork meet my eyes. A split second before the stench of feces and urine hits my nose. How hadn't we smelled it before? I get on my hands and knees, but I can't see very far inside. Flat on my belly, I wriggle beneath a piece of ductwork. It looks like a toilet exploded here. The smell is overwhelming, but at least I can hear the kitten now. Its meow is tiny and scared. We've always wanted a cat, but never found time to get one. "Coming, kitty," I croon. My claustrophobia is setting in. Wires are catching my pens every 5 feet or so. It's slow going. I see something. Eyes. Human eyes. My flashlight lights up something that might be human. 2 little gray skin stretched over bones. I try to scream, but nothing comes out. My foot is tangled. I can't turn around. It's coming. Kids say the darnest things, don't they? You know how it is. The little rascals overhear something they can't quite understand and spin this crazy embellished version of it. complete with a lavish fantasy world to accompany the absurdity. I swear, it's enough to drive you mad. Granted, my sweet little Clarence has what you would call an extremely overactive imagination, to the point where I'm not even sure he sees the world like we do, if it makes sense. It's like, I don't quite know how to explain it, like he sometimes loses himself in his own mind. The puzzling nature of his creations so overwhelming that he fails to grasp what's real and what isn't. It's not the first time it has happened either, let me assure you. Clarence has quite a history of doing this, you see. I always forgive him for it. Of course I do. There's never any hard feelings. He is but a child. And what kind of parent would I be if I didn't nurture his wonderful creativity? A bad one, wouldn't you say? Mostly, it's innocent, unnoticeable. Just a tiny white lie, or rather exaggeration, I should say. Rephrasing something he's overheard, bringing false truth to life, so to speak. In a way, if enough people believe it, would it even be false? Could it, through the sheer number of believers, become true? I'm sure I read something to that effect somewhere. Oh, I do apologize. I tend to get a bit worked up when talking about my Clarence. I suppose we should get back to the matter at hand. What I'm getting at, Miss Nichols, and I'm certain you realize this by now, but just to avoid confusion, you shouldn't always listen to what Clarence tells you. And even if you do, which, honestly, I completely understand, he's such an eloquent boy, so don't feel bad about it. But even if you do, you shouldn't always believe him. It's preposterous, really. Hilarious. Just such an absurd notion. One day, I assure you, we'll all sit back and laugh about it. So, just to be clear, Miss Nichols, when Clarence told you that we kept a little girl locked in a box in our basement, he wasn't telling the truth. And when he told you that she wasn't alone, that we over the last few years have had multiple children locked in boxes, that was also just nonsense. I'm sure you understand this. But just in case you don't, we'll let you sit in your box for a little while. Just a little while. Just until you realize that kids say the darnest things. I got a letter from my estranged brother. Well, I suppose estranged is putting it lightly. We share nothing but disdain for each other. Why? Because he's an asshole, of course. People always said we were so much alike, but I never saw it. Liar, cheat, conman, backstabber. Any of these and more would be an accurate description of Joshua, but I am certainly none of these. Joshua and I are identical twins, though, so I suppose on a purely superficial level we are indeed very much alike. But Joshua is a villain, and I am the everyman. I won't even get into the things that he did to me, simply because it's too painful to recount. Let's just say it included, but was not limited to, mental abuse, public humiliation, and torture. Despite the shit stain my brother has always been, Joshua does have a daughter I like very much. Julie calls once in a while to chat, and it's clear she feels guilt about who her father is. With some trepidation, I opened my brother's letter. I could only imagine the kind of bullshit I was about to see. Hey Jim, Julie may have told you that I'm in poor health. I have many regrets and just want to make things right with you. So I booked a trip for us to take together. Just you and me at the beautiful resort in Brazil. The dynamic duo in action, just like the days before I became who I no longer want to be. Please say yes. Please give me the chance to be your brother again, Joshua. So there it is, the seed my brother hopes that will take root and grow into a new beginning for us. Just hop on that flight and meet him in Brazil, and spend a few weeks getting to know him again. Share some beers and shed a few tears. I know what you're thinking. Don't do it, Jim. Screw that asshole. And you would be right to see it that way. However, I know something you don't. I know that Joshua's kidneys are failing. I know that I'll be kidnapped shortly after exiting the airport. I know he plans to take both of my kidneys. I know that he doesn't know that I have late-stage renal cancer. I know that the shady surgeon will find that cancer and transplant the kidneys into Joshua regardless. I know a man with my identical DNA will likely fare no better against the cancer that would have likely earned me a terminal diagnosis. I know I will die on that table. I know his suffering will end and a new kind will begin. I know Joshua will leave a substantial inheritance. I know his loving daughter, Julie, helped him plan all of this. And now you know I convinced her to do it. It's dark outside. The young woman turns to face the window. The candles glit on her table. She can feel them coming. The first to arrive is a young man, red-faced and painting. He pounds on her door, begging entry. When she opens it, he practically falls in, mumbling incoherent words. She sits him down, makes him some tea. Her old wooden chair creaks as they talk. He tells her that her time is running down. She tells him that she knows. He stays quiet for some time before asking why she doesn't leave. She tells him that she's ready to die. The second to arrive is her sister. She too bangs on the door. And when the door is opened, she hugs her sister with bone-cracking fervor. She cries. The young woman only smiles. The third is not any one person, but an army of angry people. You all know the old stories, pitchforks and torches and angry chants. The rage of the ignorant holds no comparison among men. They shout at her, calling her disgusting, evil, abomination. They wield their words like they wield their weapons, with intent to kill. Finally, they grow tired of waiting outside her door. They kick it down and grab her by the arms. Dragging her by a rope they wove for just this purpose. They cast off the young man and the sister, refusing to hear their pleas for mercy. The young woman is silent, though tears trace track in the dirt on her face, and her hands scrabble in the mud for purchase. They drag her to a pyre they created in the image of Christ. The cross, made from rotten timber and old twine, stands tall and proud above a pile of straw and driftwood. Its spindly top seems to cut the sky with its jagged edge. They tie her down roughly, nearly cutting off her hands. They scream with joy, dancing in the light of torches as they lower them to the pile. They set her alight. Their cries of "Burn the witch, burn her," echo through the night. The young woman does not scream. She does not beg. She only smiles. She knows that before the end of the night, they'll know what it really means to have a witch in your midst. Her sister uncovers her face with her hands, looking to the sky as her tears fall down her cheeks. She feels the first drop of rain. She knows that it's too late. She smiles, and the rain begins to fall. I'd programmed him to be a service droid to begin with, only able to refer to me as Father. When he found the paints in the attic, though, I felt curious, so I built in the ability to paint from observation, not imagination. He started off small, spending hours painting flora and fauna, till he began to work on a whole landscape. I often liked to pretend they were my own, with guests. In some indirect way, they were. The first offer was far higher than I'd ever expected, so I accepted without hesitation. The first sale of many. Things started going wrong when he started painting me in my sleep. I demanded to know his thought process, but he gave no answer, instead asking what I was doing in them. So while he painted, I began to teach him. I told him how humans sleep and dream. I read him books, told him of great mountains on Mars and battles that shaped the course of human history. All the while, Rodney painted. Soon, I was making a small fortune, and Rodney's paintings hung from prestigious galleries across the country. All the while, Rodney painted, unknowns to the world. The call came about my own gallery not long after. He spent months alone, as he had requested. My final series will soon be ready, Father. I was able to see Rodney's final series not 24 hours before I handed it over to the gallery for the opening. They were nothing short of the macabre. Grotesque observations of dying rats and birds, blasphemous tapestries, blood-red anguish, cold, unfeeling voids. Rodney's final series. He gave no explanation at the time. I took the paintings and locked the attic door behind me. The opening was an astounding success. Crowds gasped, cried at Rodney's work. Offers were made beyond anything I had imagined. I was hailed as a triumph, my magnum opus. The house was silent when I came home. Rodney was still in the attic, however. What was left of him, hunks of metal, disjointed gears, and wiring strewn about the place. The bulk of him lay resting by the canvas, paintbrush in hand. I ran over to him, saw the note he had left in his perfect programmed handwriting. I've always seen the things I painted, Father. You taught me how to dream, and in my dream they came to me. But you never taught me what happens when we die, Father. This is what I must discover for myself. His last painting is still in the attic, if you wish to find it. I cannot put into words what he painted. Only that if it's truly what he saw in his final moments, then I fear death more than anything, except living with the memory of what I saw. Let it be known to the world, dear reader, that Rodney liked to paint. Signing off, Father. We started doing the dive when we were just kids. It was a silly tradition between me, Emily, and Davy that we figured out together while playing in the woods. Just past the rickety old church, where the weather vane squeaked in the wind, down the moss-ridden path with the dead man's finger sticking out, and if you continue all the way through the dark and twisting woods, with wind calling on your name, you'd come up to a large dead tree we called the Hollow Man. It had a ball-sized hole in the middle, and that's where we have our dare. The rule was simple. After sundown, go to the Hollow Man and leave our silver carnival coins inside. Then make your way back without running. Then the next person to do the dare would come and pick up the coin by morning. 2 weeks into our little game, Davy started a betting pool of sorts. Every time we do the dare, we also put $5 in the little wooden box under the tree. Day by day, the money piled up. The game continued into high school. We just swapped the coin for cigarettes or candies. The little box stayed too. We pitched in a cent here and there, joking we're gonna save up the money for when the carnival comes back in town. But as the scare factor went down with teenage adrenaline, we had to up the ante by betting more things. I put in my summer's job extra $50. Emily betted the pearl necklace from an old boyfriend. Davy somehow got an antique brooch. We decided that the last person to chicken out gets the money. It went all the way into our summer years just before college. I was due to leave for State University. Davy and Emily opted to stay behind and manage their family businesses. Even with all our newfound responsibilities, no one stopped the dare. That is, until Emily didn't pick up the cigar box on her day. Then the next, and the next. Davy and I agreed that Emily thought she had better things to do. The 3 nights that Emily skipped meant Davy was next to do the dive. When he heard footsteps crunching on the leaves behind him, he should have turned and ran. When he felt looming shadows growing darker among the twisting branches, he should have called it quits. It was too late when the rock in my hand connected with the back of his head. He went down like a sack and slumped over the forest path, bloody bubbles rising from the hole in his head. I swung and hit him over and over until his face was mush on the ground beside me. Sorry, man, I lamented, standing over his corpse. Neither of you were chickening out, and college is expensive. I'm going to die. There's nothing you can do about it. It's an inevitable fact of life, and it just happened to be a little quicker than most. So, why am I writing to you? I don't know your name, I don't know your age, I don't know your face, but the man who brought me here told me to write a letter, so I'm writing it to you. Hey, my name is Jonah. I'm 14 years old. I have no family, no close friends, and no real will to live. According to the man, this makes me his ideal victim. I know I'm a bit young. That always surprises people, how young I am. I don't really care. If you're old, that just means you've suffered longer. The man is a serial killer. They called him the suicide killer, because he only ever kills people who plan to kill themselves. He told me that it's mercy. I'm not allowed to describe him. He said that he would burn the letter if I told you anything about him. He doesn't want you to be able to recognize him when he comes for you. So, here I am, about to die, writing a letter to his next victim. I think he's going to hang me, a poetic way to go. And he said he's going to shoot you. a painless way to go. So just be ready. But I know that you're planning on dying anyways, so maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe it is mercy. I'm sorry, Jonah. If anyone finds this letter, I have gone back in time to find my mom. You don't have to look for me elsewhere, because you won't find me. I promise I am safe. I will miss you all terribly, especially my best friend Maurice. But I will be back again with my mom when we find her. My dad has been working on the time machine for months, all day and all night. I sometimes speak to him before going to bed, and when I wake up, but most of the time he's in the basement. At first I was scared, because he'd always scream and throw things, but he told me he just gets angry because it's hard work, and that he is not angry with me. We're not doing so good when Mom isn't here. That's why we have to go back and find her. I'm always hungry. Dad is always drinking, and I don't think he even has a job anymore. It's okay, don't feel bad. We will go back in time, and we will find her. I think it's the best time for us to go now. We're not supposed to live here anymore, according to the letter we got. Dad doesn't read the mail anymore, but I sometimes read some of the letters, even though I don't always understand all of it. There's a lot of numbers and words like final notice, which I don't know what it means, but it sounds serious. But we don't have to worry anymore. That's what I'm saying. We're going to find her, 100% true, and then we'll come back, and everything is going to be okay. Dad doesn't lie. He's never lied to me before, so it's true. I know it. He showed me the time machine yesterday. It's so shiny, it fits all three of us, and it's really comfy and warm. He's getting it ready as I'm writing this, so I better hurry up and go now. There are things we must do before we go, you see. It's because we can't normally travel through time, so we have to prepare our bodies. I just swallowed the pills he gave me. They're for temporal sickness. I had to swallow 9 of them, since I'm 9 years old. My dad swallowed lots more. Then, all we have to do is lay down in the time machine, and suddenly, we'll find Mom again, and she won't be dead anymore. Isn't that the best? Just have to close my eyes, and everything will be like it was before. I'm getting very sleepy. I have to go now. I hope you find this letter, Maurice. Don't be sad. I'll be back soon. Movie nights, man, there's something special about them, you know? Magical. Sharing an experience with someone you really care about. Moments to remember. It doesn't matter if the movie is shitty, or the acting is bad, or if there's plot holes all over. In the end, it's all about the people you're with. Man, you gotta watch this part, you'll love this, I say, popcorn flying all over, as I flail my arms around excitedly. Yes, I'm one of those people. Freddy doesn't seem to mind. Most people hate it when I talk too much or when I get a little too animated. But Freddy really gets me, you know. He knows I mean nothing by it. He doesn't even wince, old Freddy. What a champ. Haha, did you see that? I punch him playfully in the shoulder. Freddy and I go way back. Old pals, you know. It's Freddy, right? Yeah, has to be. He's got that face. Freddy, Frederick, the F-train. A little on the shy side, old Freddy. He doesn't talk much. That's alright though, Freddy. I can do the talking. Hey Freddy, I say, stuffing my face with yet another fistful of popcorn. This one is a hell of a movie, man. He'd never admit it, but he loves it. I can tell. He doesn't want to love it, but he does. That's Freddy for you. Don't let those dead old eyes fool you. He's a barrel of emotion, that one. Real softy, when push comes to shove. Look at him shaking, all leaf-like. Oh, he's feeling it, alright. Oh man, this is my favorite part. I nudge him. Remember this part, Freddy? Sure he does. He saw it not an hour ago. I could tell already then that he'd love the director's cut. See, I told you. I lean forward to get a better angle. I messed up when I cut her throat. There's not enough blood. That's why I had to do the second take. Freddy cheers me on by wailing hysterically. We're all different, Freddy. We all show excitement in different ways. I mean, your wife. That was smooth. I note with professional interest. She bled out in seconds. She didn't fight back like your daughter. Just calmly accepted it. Respect. He's rocking back and forth in the couch wildly. I guess the rope will hold a little while longer. Soon, at the end credits now. I gotta say, Freddy, I pat him on the back. This has been an enjoyable evening. We should do it again sometime. Freddy is such a stand-up fellow. He doesn't want me to leave, I can tell. I know Freddy. We go way back. Alright, I say, rewinding the tape. Just one more time, yeah? What is this, the 10th viewing? You must really dig this movie, Freddy. Can't say I blame you though. It's a true masterpiece. Movie nights, man. There's just something special about movie nights. I saw him the first time in a cafe across my street. I noticed him in the crowd of people instantly. He looked handsome, more so beautiful. He was different from all the people I have seen before. Not that I have a lot of friends. I'm the least social person you will ever meet. But he was different. You will know when you look at him. Only you won't be able to see him. You won't even know his existence. You won't even know if he walks past you. And you will see him only twice in your life. One, when you are born, but you are too young to remember. And two, when you are dying, but too scared to remember. I don't know why I can see him. I don't know what changed in my life on that day I first saw him. And I knew instantly that he was different. Maybe I should have taken the cue. Maybe if I had paid attention, this day would have never come. Maybe if I knew, I would have tried to live my life differently. I can never be credited for being a good person. I just couldn't be not selfish at any given point of time. And that is exactly the reason I can't understand why I stepped in to push a child away from the oncoming truck. If the child was hit, it would have been his mother's fault for not looking after him. Her fault for ignoring the child to gossip with a woman. I still do not understand why my legs started moving before my brain could summarize the situation. They say before you die, your life will flash in front of your eyes. Mine didn't. The only thing flashing in front of my eyes is his smile. The slight smile on the curve of his lips did not exhibit satisfaction. It was more of a sad smile, a smile of pity. And then I hit the road head first after getting thrown into the air. I did not feel any pain, but a sudden realization flashed in front of my eyes. A realization of who he was, what he does. You will meet him twice in your life. Once to give you something, and next take it back from you and give it to another person. I don't know how many people have known him before and how many will see him after me. People generally call him the Grim Reaper, Death, or any such term of death. You will too if you see him when you are old enough to remember, and you will easily mistake him for death itself. But the moment my head hit the road, I realized his name. He laid next to me on the road. The sad smile transferred from his lips to mine. I have finally recognized him, whom people call Fate. I look in the mirror and straighten my tie. When I go out, I want to look nice. My reflection smiles, but I don't feel it. My apartment is a mess, but that doesn't matter because I have a date. I didn't tell my friends about it. I was apprehensive. I know in my heart this will be the only date we'll have. I never liked her much before, but these past few weeks, she's somehow just become more and more attractive. And I've started to find her smile endearing, and her eyes warm and welcoming. I give myself a last once over, then pull on my overcoat and head out the door, trying not to see the orange notice taped to the door. Not that it matters, because I have a date. My watch says it's almost 6 p.m. I'm making good time. The taxi pulls in front of me and I get in, giving him the location. A park. The park I chose isn't very popular. There's typically only a few kids and joggers in the early afternoon. By this time, we'll have the whole place to ourselves, I'd imagine. The taxi pulls up and I step out, suddenly becoming hesitant. The pesky what-ifs fill my head. No, I tell myself. It's too late to turn back now. She'll be expecting you. I dressed my best just for this date. I sit on the bench and wait. I'm nervous and sweating, and my hands are beginning to shake. I reach into my jacket and pull out my gun. As I press it against my head, I think of how wonderful it would be to meet her. Death, that is. I close my eyes and pull the trigger. Hey there, kiddo. My father grinned and waved at me from behind the wheel of his car as he pulled up outside our house. Daddy, I shouted. I dropped the ball I'd been playing with and ran to him. How's it going? He asked, closing the car door behind him. Good, I said. I gave him a hug. I was about half his height. He seemed so tall. Haven't seen you in a while, he smiled, tousling my hair. Your mom won't let me. I know, I said, and followed up with a standard request. Show me a trick. You wanna see one? He asked. He knew I was always a ready audience. Yes, I said, hopping up and down. He slid a deck of cards out of his shirt pocket. He shuffled gracefully. It was a smooth, practiced action. I loved the sound it made. Watched as he cut with one hand, sprayed the cards from one palm to the other. Pick a card, he told me. Don't let me see it. I did. The Queen of Hearts. "Now put it back in the deck," he said. I slid the card into the middle of the deck. He shuffled again. Then he gave me the cards. "Shuffle them up so I can't find it." I did. He took the cards back from me, pretended to concentrate for a moment, and then pulled the Queen of Hearts from the top of the deck. "Is that it?" I clapped and laughed. "Another," I demanded. He took a $50 out of his pocket. My father was the only person I've ever known that had a $50 in his pocket. With a flourish, he grabbed it with one hand out of the pinched fingers of the other. "Which hand is it in?" he asked. I thought I'd be clever and picked the one least likely to have a coin in it. I was wrong, and to prove I didn't have a chance, he showed me the other hand, and it wasn't there either. I'd seen this trick before, but it was still great. "Another," I shouted. "Okay," he said. "In just a minute." He stood up straight, glancing around our suburban street. "You wait here, sweetheart," he told me. I don't know where he got it from, but I noticed that he was trying to hide a rather large butcher knife behind one leg. Where did he get that from? Amazing. He placed his free hand gently on my shoulder. "I'm going to go into the house for a minute, make your mother disappear, and then we'll have all the time in the world for magic. Sounds good?" I nodded. "Play with your ball," he told me warmly as he walked up to the front door, the knife still hidden behind one leg. So I did, and wondered what trick I'd get to see when he came back. Close eye, fall in sleep. There was something alarmingly familiar about it, like a long forgotten memory resurfacing, rotten and decayed, torn at the edges, now reduced to nothing but an unreliable reel of faded filmic images flashing before my eyes. I quietly snuck out my daughter's room and called my mom, the strange words echoing softly in the back of my mind. I could remember my grandma sitting at my bed, her wrinkly hands stroking my neck gently, a somber gaze wandering from my door to me, then back to the door again. "Close eye, fall in sleep," she whispered hoarsely, leaning in close, ancient wrinkles dancing as her face tensed. I squirmed, but couldn't free myself from her vice-like grip. Old spindly fingers digging into my soft skin like feral claws. "Aubrey?" my mom answered. "Is everything okay?" Yeah, I stammered. "I was just wondering." I couldn't have been older than 3, 4, because my grandma died days before I turned 5. One of my earliest memories, I think, and the only one I have of my grandmother. My mom always told me she was a witch, a real witch, old country beliefs. "I was just thinking about Grandma Edora," I said. "Oh yeah?" Mom replied. "That's strange. I had a dream about her not too long ago." I remember I screamed as my grandmother tightened her grip, those piercing fingers wrapping around muscles and sinew, her eyes wide open, and her face frozen in a terrifying expression. "It must have been back when I was 3 or 4, I said, throwing brief worried glances into Penelope's room. She was putting me to bed. "Oh, that's strange," my mom said. "She hardly ever did that. Are you sure it was her?" I remembered she leaned in close. Her crooked nose nearly touched mine, her gaze unflinching and intense. "Positive," I said. She whispered this strange phrase to me, and I don't know. "She did what?" my mom said, her voice cracking. I remember her tongue hanging out, drool dripping down on my chin. Then she whispered it again, only this time it was like the words formed inside my head. Close eye, fall in sleep. I said, that's the phrase. I know it's probably nothing, but I just heard Penelope whispering those very same words in her sleep. And I don't know. I'm just curious about the origin, I guess. That's impossible, my mom said. You must be mistaken. The last thing I remember from that night is my grandmother's hair brushing against my face as she bobbled her head up and down, rhythmically. Why is that? I asked. I heard Penelope moving relentlessly in her bed. Because, my mom said, your grandmother was born on mute. She never spoke a word in her life. The door to Penelope's room suddenly slammed shut. A hoarse whisper crept into my ears, a raspy murmur devoid of human qualities. Close eye, fall in sleep. I know when my husband is cheating on me. It's funny, something like 60% of marriages end in infidelity. But you never think it'll be yours. There are so much articles on it too. How to tell, what signs to watch for. Is he spending too much time at the office or just working hard? Crappy episodes on daytime TV, some silly girl sobbing as it's all revealed. These articles, shows, dramas, they're for weaker women. I knew the moment my husband didn't love me anymore. Oh, it started small. He'll smile more for no reason. He'll laugh at little things she says or does. Things that he would have never in a million years found funny if you said them. And it will only get worse. His face would light up like a sun when he sees her. And he will see her. You cannot stop it. She's everywhere in his life. Invasive like a cancer or a leech. Sucking all of his attention and love away from you. And then, even worse, his friends, your friends, will notice. They'll tell you they've never seen him before like this. How happy he is. It's enough to make you sick. And finally, he'll tell you. Tell you he has never felt love like this before. That he doesn't know how he lived without her. Well, something had to be done, obviously. I love my husband. I'm not having some little temptress steal him away from me. What kind of a woman would I be then? No. So I took matters into my own hands. Thank God she's still little. I don't think I could have drowned her that easily if she could walk just yet. My dad isn't a very nice man most days. He drinks a lot, and shouts a lot, and hits a lot, and I don't think he even smiles, unless it is to mock my mom or me. He likes that, making fun of us. But mostly he's just angry, so very, very angry. My mom told me one time that he doesn't really mean it, that he is just stressed about work and money, and that he really loves us. You know, deep down. He just has a hard time showing it, she told me. I believe her. People are different, my teacher, Miss Slinger, always says. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. They just can't help it, you see. It's how they're born. She does ask me about my bruises a lot, though. Mom told me not to tell her, so I didn't. We just have a very slippery and steep stairs, is all. But last night, my dad was very nice. It started like every night. I was trying to sleep, but I couldn't before my dad was shouting again. I couldn't hear my mom, but she was always quiet, so I didn't really think much of it. He was really angry though, because he started breaking stuff too. Bottles, furniture, I think. Lots of noise. I hid under my pillow and tried to think about other things, but it never really works. I just knew that when he got angry enough, he wouldn't stop at Mom. He'd come to me too, call me names, and hit me if I opened my mouth or cried. But not last night. He came up to my room while I was still hiding, but he wasn't angry no more. His voice sounded so strange, shivering and low. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "I really didn't mean to scare you. I won't do it anymore, I promise." I was very confused, but I was brave enough to look at him. He looked so sad, a droopy face, like he really meant it. Like he was really sorry. "It's okay, Dad," I said. "You're just different, is all." He nodded slowly. "I have to go now," he said. "But you're a very special girl, Emma. Always remember that." He dropped something on the floor just as he left. I felt sort of happy. He's never said anything like that, you know. I slept very good last night. No noise or shouting. But I think I figured out why he was so nice to me. Maybe, just maybe, he was so mad for so long that it all wore out. Maybe it's just like gasoline on a car, or like a candle slowly melting. Like he shed his angry for good, and now he's all nice. I don't know if that's true, but it would explain what I found when I woke up. Lying there by my door, all yucky and gross, my father's angry face. Fake lips, fake eyelashes, fake brows, fake complexion, fake curves and fake hair. All that, and no wonder blokes don't trust women nowadays. I ring the doorbell and my date answers, looking just as stunning as when I'd ask her out at the pub. Anthea is a Mediterranean beauty, dark blonde hair framing her bandaged dress. Her olive skin, radiant. But that's just how she looks. Me and my mates know looks can be deceiving. The amount of foundation some of these stuck-up birds in our neighborhood trawl on is atrocious. Who gave them the idea that vain cake faces are what guys dig? Everyone always jokes about how, if you don't want to wake up next to a 2, you need to take her swimming first. Well, I'm not joking tonight. "Where are we heading?" Anthea coyly asks from my passenger seat. I hope I'm not overdressed. I reply. I was thinking we could take a walk by the shore, sit on the pier, and just relax. "Sure, that sounds like a nice first date. Just no swimming, okay?" Typical princess, I think smugly as I nod. What Miss Perfect doesn't know is that I'm actually planning a midnight dip in the sea for her. It'll be the ultimate gag, snapping a video for the group chat of an ice queen melting after I tossed her off the pier. "Tonight was wonderful, Alfie," Anthea swoons to me later that evening, dangling her legs over the jetty. Superstitiously, I set my phone on the boardwalk to record her climbing out of the ocean. Now, it's finally showtime. Interlocking my fingers with hers, I suddenly send the two of us lurching into the water. As I surface, I expected to see running mascara and waterlogged extensions. Indeed, my date's form is beginning to melt away. But what I'm glimpsing is skin shedding into scales, finger melding into webbed claws. I could only tread water as the woman metamorphosizes into a monster before my eyes. Whatever illusion this creature had going, seawater had clearly broken it, and Athea is not happy. "We could have had so much more fun together," she hisses, incensed. "This is premature." With that, the sea siren viciously seizes me and drags me underneath the waves, her voice echoing on as water fills my lungs.
I only take men drowning on the last date.
Thank you for calling the Fieldman Hotel customer service line. Please listen carefully to the following menu items. Para español, presione 9. For continental breakfast hours, press 1. To schedule a wake-up call, press 2. To order room service, press 3. For shuttle schedule to nearby attractions and events, press 4. To report an issue or complaint, press 5. Please listen carefully to the following menu items. To report a plumbing issue, press 1. To report an electrical issue, press 2. To report a heating or air conditioning issue, press 3. To file a noise disturbance complaint, press 4. To report an issue that does not meet the preceding criteria, press 5. Please listen carefully to the following menu items. If your room's TV is turning on and off by itself, press 1. If there's a rhythmic knocking coming from within the vents, press 2. If your room is on the second floor or higher and someone is tapping on your window, press 3. If you hear a little girl's voice singing nursery rhymes from your bathroom sink's drain, press 4. If it is between the hours of 1:16 a.m. and 3:29 a.m. and there is a woman in blue robe standing in the southwest corner of the room facing the wall, press 5. Listen carefully, do not move. Focus on the sound of my voice. Tune out everything else. Ignore the muffled footsteps on your carpet. Ignore the fingers tracing up and down your back. Ignore the heavy breathing in your ear. Do not acknowledge her in any way. Do not move or speak, and she will not harm you. Focus on my words. If you have followed these instructions, then by now she will be gone, and you are free to hang up and move about the room. We apologize for any inconvenience this might have caused you. Enjoy the rest of your stay, and upon checking out, please accept a complimentary gift basket on behalf of the Fieldman Hotel. Thank you. Goodbye.